Hey everyone, Brandon and Brady back again at the Kabuki Strength Lab, and today we're going to be giving you a hierarchy for improving your technique, positions, and getting you out of pain potentially. We find that the hierarchy that we suggest to people, they typically do it in reverse fashion, and it generally leads to them having to deal with the same problem week after week after week after week and seeing no appreciable improvements in either technique or pain. So here's what we're talking about. We went ahead and wrote it up on the board for you. There are certainly subsegments between each of these three major areas that you could potentially focus on. But the first place that we're always going to start when we're talking improving technique is improving positions first. And what we mean by that is if you struggle at the bottom of the squat, spend some time getting better at the bottom position of the squat. If you find that you break down at 2/3 of the way through your squat or in your hinging mechanics, practice that pattern. You don't always have to piecemeal things in drills and hope they translate to your actual movement. The next thing we're going to be looking at is drills in similar joint angles. And we're going to give you examples of all of these in relation to the squat, maybe in other exercises, maybe not today, but maybe in another video. And then finally, in our hierarchy, we're doing targeted passive interventions. A lot of times, this is where people are going to start, and that's why they have reoccurring tight IT bands or reoccurring knee pain or still have problems in their technique despite spending 20 minutes before every training session working on these things. So our proposition for you is to spend time in the positions you want to improve. Strength is always going to be relative to the joint angles that you're using. Next, if we can't do everything here, and almost always we can, the next thing we're working on is drills in similar joint angles, and finally our passive interventions. Brady, let's get you under a bar and go through these. Let's use the bottom of the squat example, and we'll show you some common things that we would work through in the bottom position of the squat. That rack height's a little low for you there, Brady, but that'll work. If I have an individual who struggles to transition in or out of the bottom position of the squat, I'm generally looking at their starting position and how well they're organizing their trunk. Go ahead and squat here, Brady. As Brady reaches the bottom position of the squat, I'm going to either instruct him to fix those positions in this area, spend more time there so his body can coordinate those positions, and then reverse back out of it. So in this situation, if Brady struggled with his hinge mechanics or his trunk position, I'm going to get him in an active position. He's not just stretching down here and hanging passively. He's being very active and pressing through his feet. If he struggled with his trunk position at the start position, I'm going to cue him to bring his ribs down. I'm going to cue him to brace just like he should have when he first started. And then finally, I'm going to make sure that his feet are actually doing their job and promoting a platform to reverse out of. From here, he's going to slowly press out of this position and maintain those same that joint integrity that we hopefully instilled at the bottom position. The next one we would do, we would either add load or hopefully he can get down back into that position in a better, well, position. Let's show them a drill, Brady. And we can actually probably keep you here. A drill that we would do to mimic the bottom position of the squat, you want to come out here, Brady, would be something like a quadruped position or a bear crawl position. This is going to put Brady's hips, knees, and ankles in a similar joint position that he would have been in the bottom of the squat, and that's going to give him another opportunity to work on that coordination of those joint angles. Now, we can do a lot of different things in this position that we could have done in that squat, but it's also going to give us a different opportunity to coach and to instruct. In this position, if Brady struggled with his thoracic extension or thoracic uprighting or standing tall in a squat, we are going to cue him to upright through his spine, separate these two positions as far as he can, and he's going to be bracing really, really hard. From here, he's going to bring knees up off the ground, and he's going to hold this position and get better at this position. For a lot of people, this is going to be enough. They're going to struggle to do this with good quality movement. It's very easy just to hang out in this position, but if you do it actively and you actually perform better positions in these types of drills, it's going to translate immediately to your actual technique. Now, if we want to do a targeted passive intervention, we would first have to figure out what the issue is that Brady was having. Maybe he was struggling with some IT band pain, or maybe his passive treatment might be something to do with improving his breathing mechanics. That's a little bit more contextual, and we have to figure out the actual individual and what they're doing. But that would be at which point we would start adding in our foam rolling, our boomstick work, our lacrosse ball work, but it doesn't work the other way around as well. You're certainly going to probably get out of pain doing those types of passive intervention, and that might allow you to hit your positions a little bit better. However, you should always be starting with your positional work. That's going to clean up 99% of the issues you have if you do it well. Next thing we're going to do is go into those drills like we just did with braiding. There's a ton of them that you could potentially do to mimic the bottom position of the squat. And finally, we're going to add those passive treatments in, but it doesn't work the other way around. Anything like that there, Professor Brady?
Just to reiterate a little bit, Brandon mentioned strength being joint angle specific, and that's why we always want to go to the movement first, but there's a lot of ways that you can augment the movement too, whether it's tempo, volume, total load, everything like that, and scaling it down to the point where you can hit those positions, because just doing passive work is not going to make you any stronger in those positions, even if it might open up the opportunity for you to move in them. And getting stronger in those positions is where you're going to feel more control and usually less pain also.
Yep. Brandon and Brady out.